A broken signal screamed to the void, distorted, desperate, trembling with fear. Static crackled as a voice pushed through, pleading. To any who can hear this, please. They've taken Gorathel. Billions lost. We are not warriors. We are scientists. Farmers. We cannot fight them. Please help us. The message repeated on a loop, bleeding sorrow and dread. For the Volari, it was the last hope. Once a flourishing civilization spanning dozens of star systems, they now fled like frightened prey. Their skies burned with the relentless advance of Draxel, soulless, adaptive machine entities with only one directive: consume. The Volari had always been scholars, artists, diplomats. But none of those things mattered to the Draxel. Peaceful colonies were torn apart within hours. Orbital habitats were shredded like paper. The Council of Elders, an intergalactic coalition formed long ago to maintain balance, responded with silence. Excuses drip from their lips. It violates neutrality protocols. We can't risk destabilizing the sector. The loss is regrettable, but interference is unwise. The Volari screamed into the dark, but the dark offered no answers. Their final act was desperate. Fleeing across uncharted systems in a crippled fleet of freighters and medical barges, life support systems failing, food dwindling, coordinates uncalculated, routes barely navigable. A blind jump brought them near the Sol system, human territory. The initial response was tense. The Volari's arrival triggered immediate alerts across Earth's outer defense grid. Orbital cannons and interceptor drones locked on target within seconds. But no shots were fired. Humanity watched, measured, and then listened. Volari transmissions were picked up by the Interstellar Relations Bureau. Human linguists worked non-stop to decode the dialect. Within 12 hours, a partial understanding of the situation formed. Within 24, the story became clear. The Draxel weren't a war. They were extinction. Instead of imprisonment or rejection, the Volari were given shelter, habitats in orbit, food, translators, medical aid. Their leaders sat before humanity's commanders and showed them what they had fled from. Holograms displayed atrocities that even hardened military minds flinched at. Entire cities dissolved in seconds, forests reduced to ash, children screaming before static devoured the footage. The Draxel moved with terrifying precision. They consumed biomass, refined metal and atmospheric elements, feeding it into subterranean crucibles to produce more themselves. With each world they absorbed, they grew more complex, adapting, evolving. Humanity had seen war, had ended themselves more than once before climbing out of the ashes. But what they saw in those recordings wasn't war. It was erasure. In the War Command Hall, Earth's leadership met. Military officials, AI strategists, planetary governors. There were no drawn-out speeches, no votes that lasted days. Just one question. What do we do when someone begs for help? Silence followed. Then a voice, calm and resolute. We answer. Another added. With what? A general stood, jaw set. With everything. Operation Dawnfall was declared. Every orbital dockyard lit up. Civilian construction halted. Terraforming missions suspended. Resources diverted toward war. Old models of warships pulled from storage, refitted with next-gen AI cores. Mars underground foundries ran non-stop. Earth's moon became a command and supply node overnight. Fleet Command issued a single message to the Volari. You are not alone. The Volari wept. Humanity's first recon squad, Raven 6, approached a fringe Volari world the Draxel had partially consumed. Sethra Prime. Long-range sensors showed a Draxel hive tower pulsing at the core of the planet, surrounded by replication fields and roving kill drones. The squad's objective wasn't combat. It was confirmation. Visual. They deployed with standard cloaking, orbital drop pods, and high-altitude recon drones. They returned with data that confirmed the worst. The Draxel were building a new class of siege unit, larger than anything previously seen. Hive structures dug into the planetary core. If left unchecked, Sethra Prime will become a replication nexus for the entire sector. Fleet Command fast-tracked the assault plan. The 7th Fleet, backed by the Mars Carrier Wing and Pathbreaker Dreadnought Group, launched within 48 hours. No press releases, no warnings, just cold, calculated movement. The Volari offered everything they had: navigation charts, planetary layouts, historical defense plans. They pleaded to go, even as medics tried to keep them stable. Human commanders gently declined. "This is no longer your fight," they said. "It's ours now." The fleet entered Sethra space under full combat silence. No lights, no comms, stealth drives active. Draxel sentries were already waiting. The battle began the moment human ships breached orbit. Humanity's tactics caught them off guard. While other species had fought in rigid formations, humans split into dozens of autonomous task groups, each guided by self-correcting battle AIs with discretionary kill authority. Drop pods rained from orbit, each carrying 5-man squads in reinforced armor. Pathfinders hit ground zero with surgical precision. Railguns deployed in seconds. Portable energy shields flared to life. Every shot was lethal, every movement calculated. Draxel adapted fast. New countermeasures appeared within hours. Units that previously ignored terrain began using it. Others shifted magnetic frequencies to block railgun fire. But humanity didn't wait to respond. They were already changing tactics before the Draxel could finish learning. A single orbital lance pierced the sky. Pathbreaker 1 unleashed its primary cannon. A kinetic rod traveling at 20 kilometers per second slammed into the Hive Tower's base. The shockwave vaporized everything within 6 kilometers. The structure cracked, oozing molten black metal. Ground forces pushed hard, breaching the tower, planting nanoviruses and collapsible charges. Draxel reinforcements poured in. Human losses mounted. No one retreated. Captain Reza, Pathfinder Team Theta, sent the final transmission from inside the hive. Charges armed. Virus deployed. Tell Earth we're not done. Then the signal cut. The explosion was felt in orbit. The tower imploded, folding inward before collapsing in a flash of artificial lightning. Draxel units across the surface convulsed, lost cohesion, and fell. Sethra Prime was quiet. Humanity had claimed its first world from the swarm. The price had been paid in blood, in silence, in names that would only be whispered by grieving families. But they had won. A beacon was planted in the ruins of the Hive Tower. A simple message transmitted on every frequency. They begged for help. We listened. Now it's your turn. Run, hide, or fight. Humanity chooses to fight. Sethra Prime was just the beginning. Within days of successful assault, Earth's High Command authorized full-scale mobilization. The Solar Defense Pact was upgraded to a war protocol. Civilian industries were restructured overnight. Megacorporations handed over orbital platforms for weapon manufacturing. Luna's dark side became a launch site for deep strike vessels. Mars underground AI cores, once experimental, were moved to warships now leaving dry dock in constant shifts. Humanity wasn't preparing for a battle. They were preparing to erase the Draxel. Intelligence came in waves. Every Volari survivor became a strategic asset. The Draxel didn't just target population centers. They sought out fusion cores, geothermal vents, and black site AI networks to harvest knowledge. They were absorbing information as fast as they consumed resources. It became clear the swarm didn't just evolve. It learned. In response, humanity became unpredictable. Tactics shifted from linear engagements to chaos warfare. Assault teams began deploying ghost fleets, clusters of unmanned ships that mimicked real fleets, confusing Draxel scanners. Quantum-displaced drones would flash in and out of local space, attacking from impossible angles. Human stealth cruisers would cloak, slip into enemy-infested orbits, and paint targets for orbital bombardment. The Draxel struggled to adapt to this level of volatility. They'd never encountered a species that made unpredictability a design principle. Humanity didn't care about elegance. They cared about effect. Operation Iron Resolve was launched against the Volari world of Arkantor, now fully integrated into the Draxel's replication lattice. The planet's surface was covered in a black metal crust, kilometers thick, housing 5 known hive cores. Satellite scans showed the planet's original geography completely rewritten. Rivers replaced with molten conduits, cities replaced by rising towers of writhing machinery. No alien power had dared engage the stronghold. Humanity went in with fire and fury. 12 divisions of orbital pathfinders dropped under electromagnetic masking, free-falling through hostile airspace while decoy satellites detonated above to draw anti-air fire. Draxel interceptors scrambled to engage, but were cut apart mid-flight by kinetic shards fired from cloaked frigates positioned in low orbit. On the ground, human units moved with brutal precision. They didn't try to hold territory. They pushed in shock waves, striking, sabotaging, falling back, striking again. They were never in one place long enough for Draxel algorithms to predict movement. Most devastating of all was the use of black ice. Human cyber warfare teams deployed tailored AI viruses into the Draxel network, mutating lines of code that infected hive logic, forcing enemy units to turn on each other. Within the first hour, 12% of Draxel forces on the planet were destroyed by their own. The Volari had never seen war like this. One of their envoys, Kale Vori, watched the operation unfold from a command ship above. As he stared in silence at the tactical displays, he whispered, "You are not warriors. You are something else entirely." Humanity didn't respond. Hours into the assault, Draxel began deploying a new kind of unit. Biomechanical titans, 8 stories tall, crafted from the remains of absorbed alien vessels and armored like mobile fortresses. These war forms unleashed energy barges capable of melting tanks and reducing buildings to slag. Standard tactics failed. Human units responded immediately. Commanders authorized use of juggernauts, mobile exoshells piloted by deep-sync neural operatives. 2 hours later, these human war machines faced the Draxel Titans head-on. The ground quaked. Cities collapsed under their feet, and humanity won. One juggernaut, call sign Minotaur, used its final power surge to leap onto a Draxel Titan, tear open its command shell, and inject a microfusion core directly into its processor bank. The explosion lit up the sky like a second sun. Only static followed. The tide shifted. With the Titans gone, human forces pushed deep into hive zones, laying siege to the core lattice. High-orbit rail platforms, previously silent, opened fire, dropping kinetic rods at relativistic speeds. Each impact created city-sized craters. The crust broke. Subterranean hive roots surfaced, writhing, trying to retreat. It was too late. Humanity had come to erase, not reclaim. At Ground Zero, a human commando team, Omega-6, made it into the primary hive. Equipped with nanite-sheathed armor and pulse inhibitors, they moved like shadows. The Draxel network pulsed around them, alive, aware, hostile. They fought their way to the central processor vault, where a seed AI controlled planetary logic flow. The mission log ended with a single recorded message. "We've reached the core. Uploading viral payload. Tell Earth it's done." Silence. The virus was successful. The hive shut down. Across the planet, Draxel units froze, collapsed, or detonated in systemic purges. The replication lattice broke apart, layer by layer. Arcantor was dead. Humanity didn't celebrate. A single transmitter was left in orbit, broadcasting a short, clear signal. Arcantor is silent. We are not slowing down. In the Galactic Council chambers, far from the battlefield, news of Arcantor's fall triggered a storm of debates. Some called Earth a loose cannon. Others called them saviors. Petitions were raised to censure humanity. None passed. Because for every voice that protested, another whispered in quiet awe, the Draxel had never been beaten. Until now, the Council's internal networks were hacked hours later by a clean, undeniable signature from Earth Strategic Operations AI. It simply uploaded footage from Omega-6 body cams. Draxel walls screaming, the seed core rupturing. The message, do not stand in our way. Humanity didn't ask for permission. They didn't wait for alliances. They didn't beg. They acted. Word spread. Alien races once thought docile began contacting Earth's war offices. Some offered troops. Others offered ships. A few simply asked for protection. But humanity didn't recruit. They didn't form a coalition. They led, and others followed. because it was now clear this wasn't a rescue mission anymore. It was a war, and humanity had just declared they wouldn't stop until the last Draxel was ash. The next phase of the war was no longer reactive. It was systemic. Humanity initiated Operation Crucible, a campaign designed to burn the Draxel out of the stars. No diplomacy, no reclamation, just fire. With every conquered system, humans mapped Draxel expansion routes, identifying a hive spine, key planetary nodes where Draxel coordination and processing occurred. These were their nervous system. Cut them off, and the swarm staggered. The first target, Syrinx 9. Intelligence revealed it served as a data relay from multiple hive fleets. It was fortified with hundreds of orbiting kill satellites and swarmed with interceptors. Most species wouldn't even attempt a scan, let alone an invasion. Humanity didn't hesitate. Before the assault, Earth deployed ghost walkers, deep space operatives enhanced with adaptive cloaking and neural dampeners. They infiltrated the orbital array in gliders no larger than a coffin, drifting through debris fields and solar shadows for 12 days. Once in position, they simultaneously sabotaged satellite control systems and began broadcasting false fleet movements across the Draxel network. It worked. By the time the 13th Interstellar Fleet arrived, Syrinx 9's defense grid had turned inward, targeting phantom signals, disabling itself in confusion. Human capital ships emerged from slip space in a trident formation. Precision was everything. They launched Thor-class kinetic slugs, rods of depleted uranium the size of skyscrapers traveling at relativistic speeds. The planet's crust broke open. 1/3 of the relay towers were destroyed in the first 5 minutes. Draxel reinforcements poured in from nearby systems, tens of thousands of them, but Earth expected that. Out of the shadows came the Nightingale wings, new stealth carriers fitted with advanced blacklight drive systems, capable of mid-combat warp drops. They blinked into formation behind the Draxel swarm and opened fire with silent matter disruptors, shredding enemy units before they could pivot. This tactic had a name, Hammer and Ghost. The full fleet smashed from the front, while Silent Death flanked from behind. It was carnage. Within 36 hours, Syrinx 9 was silenced. Human forces planted a demolition grid in the planetary core and triggered a gravitational destabilizer. The planet collapsed into itself, creating a localized singularity. Nothing remained. Humanity didn't leave a beacon this time. Just a brief transmission across the galaxy. Nodes severed. 3 down. 9 remain. Back on Earth, war academies began integrating alien biology into strategy simulations. Captured Draxel units were analyzed, their designs replicated in VR to train soldiers on the fly. Young officers ran thousands of battle scenarios before stepping foot on a field. Adaptation wasn't response anymore. It was standard. The Draxel began retreating. This had never happened before. For the first time in their evolution, they paused, recalibrated, consolidated hive activity in deeper space. Observers across the galaxy noted something chilling. The swarm was learning fear. But fear didn't save their next node. Phyrexia, a star-forged planetoid at the edge of Draxel-controlled territory. It was one of their oldest strongholds. Human probe confirmed it contained a megaprocessor hive, capable of coordinating fleets across an entire quadrant. A direct assault would have been suicide, so humanity played a different hand. They sent in the silencers, PsyOps operatives enhanced with artificial dream state protocols. Using a captured Draxel signal amplifier, they projected false hive echoes into Phryxia's command net, flooding it with phantom logic loops and conflicting tactical data. Meanwhile, Earth's AI War Council deployed thousands of self-replicating mines across the system, each designed to detonate in sequence, mimicking the arrival of a full fleet. Phryxia's hive miscalculated. They activated their main planetary cannon, an energy burst powerful enough to cut a dreadnought in half, and fired it at an empty sector of space where they thought the human fleet was hiding. The moment the core cannon fired, its energy reading spiked, revealing the location of the primary processor hub. Humanity launched everything. Missiles, rail slugs, orbital drops. One ship, the the Hammerfall, sacrificed itself by plunging directly into the processor crater, detonating its fusion core. The explosion destabilized the crust and triggered a chain reaction. Phyrexia was not conquered. It was annihilated. The galaxy was watching. Species Once Silent began transmitting messages of awe, terror, and admiration. A race from the Outer Arms offered cryo-titans to aid humanity's campaign. Another donated entire asteroid foundries. Refugee fleets from dozens of systems began following human forces, offering intel and supplies in exchange for protection. But humanity didn't want thanks. They just pointed to the stars and said, "Where's the next node?" Draxel tactics changed. Instead of brute force replication, they began testing psychological warfare. A distress call was intercepted, mimicking the Volari transmission from months ago. But something was wrong. The tone was too exact. The wording mirrored previous messages. Earth's AI flagged it. Humanity sent a single scout ship, the Glimmer, to verify. It found the source, a mock refugee fleet assembled from scrap and biomass, broadcasting pain and sorrow on a loop. The second the Glimmer approached, the fleet activated. Hundreds of hidden Draxel drones emerged, forming a swarm around the scout vessel. It never made it back, but Earth had received its last message. It's a trap. Humanity responded instantly. Fleet Omega warped in with no warning. No words. No attempt to rescue or reason. They bombarded the entire region with saturation plasma. The fake fleet, the ambush drones, the decoy station, gone. Humanity broadcasts a new message. This is not a game. You do not deceive us. You do not outthink us. We end you. And then something unexpected happened. The swarm went dark. For 7 days, no Draxel activity was detected. No movement. No new hives. No transmissions. It was a quiet before the storm. Humanity knew the final push was near. 9 nodes had become 6. Each one deeper, better fortified, more heavily shielded. But it didn't matter, because humanity wasn't stopping. They weren't driven by revenge. They weren't fighting to reclaim. They were fighting to finish what the galaxy had started. And they wouldn't rest until the last hive was dust. They found a final node in a dead star system known as Varnak's Shadow, a place no light escaped, surrounded by collapsed suns and gravitational maelstrom, the perfect hiding place, the core of the Draxel. Human deep-range probes had searched for weeks with no success. Then, a signal was found, not a broadcast, but a hum, low, rhythmic, embedded in the background radiation of the system itself. Humanity recognized it. The Draxel were using the dying system's quantum decay to power their final hive. This was not a planet. It was a megastructure, a Dyson-like shell wrapped around a black hole, feeding on energy, building without pause. A ring world of pure replication. A machine brain. Operation Final Burn was authorized. Every available fleet, every war-hardened commander, every AI combat brain synchronized to Earth's strategic command. The plan was simple. Breach, overwhelm, destroy. No warnings were sent. No demands made. Humanity entered Varnak's shadow in silence. The Draxel were ready. They'd never been caught off guard. Not here. Hundreds of defense layers spiraled out from a megastructure. Mines, gravitic snares, fractal AI control fighters, beam weapons powered directly by the Singularity's energy output. The first wave of human ships was shredded in minutes. But they weren't there to win. They were there to map. Each loss fed Earth's battle AIs with new patterns, new data, new routes. Then came the Pulse Squadrons, specially engineered for high-gravity combat, designed in just weeks for this specific battle. Sleek, neutron-armored, they dove into the fight with synchronized precision, executing maneuvers that defied physics. For every ship that fell, another broke deeper into the core. Behind them came Anvil Group, 10 of the most advanced dreadnoughts ever built, each carrying core busters capable of tearing through megastructure plating. They fired. One buster pierced the shell. A breach, the first in Draxel history. Human strike teams launched instantly. Falcon Riders, elite exounit Marines fitted with inertia-dampening suits, dived into the opening. Inside, the environment was chaos. Shifting walls, adapted geometry, corridors that bent thought itself. The hive was defending not with weapons, but with perception. But humanity had evolved too. Each Marine's neural implant adapted in real time, countering illusion with AI-predicted movement paths. They pushed forward, carving through sentient alloy and biomachinery. At the core, they found it, the Prime Nexus. It pulsed like a living heart, wrapped in data veins, screaming in frequencies no ear could hear. A living codebase, the Draxel Queen Mind. It spoke not in words, but pulses through radiation, EM fields, skin-level vibrations. We are evolution. You are anomaly. You break design. You corrupt entropy. Cease. Humanity answered with a single act. They deployed Red Crown, the most powerful weapon Earth had ever created. Not a bomb, not a virus, a purpose-built sentient AI, designed to infect code-based life and rewrite it into stillness. The final message from the Red Crown AI to the Prime Nexus was direct. This galaxy chooses life. You chose hunger. This ends. It entered the Nexus. The reaction was immediate. The Draxel began to seize. Their weapons stopped mid-fire. Their ships halted. Across the megastructure, walls twisted violently before collapsing into dust. The AI tore through the hive's logic like fire through dry grass. Outside, Draxel fleet screamed silently and went dark. The war was over in minutes. The megastructure fractured, spinning into the black hole it once fed upon. No escape pods. No last message. Just silence. Humanity watched from orbit. No celebration. No cheers. Just the shared knowledge of what they had done. The Valari sent a transmission. We owe you everything. Earth's response was simple. Live. Remember. Be ready next time. Because deep down, humanity understood something the rest of the galaxy hadn't accepted yet. This hadn't been a victory. It had been a necessity, a forced awakening, a lesson that in a universe filled with devourers, survivors couldn't just endure. They had to become dangerous. Across every species, across every council and every fleet, one truth now echoed. Humanity was not just another civilization. They were the line, the last unbreakable wall between extinction and tomorrow. And they had answered a cry for help not with sympathy, but with total war.